Council meeting, December 21, 2020. Welcome my fellow councillors, and we do not have any members of the public in our room tonight, and we have our Director of Finance, Kristen Dunsford, with us. We have our Acting CAO, Gord McFarlane, and Brian Harlick is on the controls here, and all members of council. And we're doing our thing tonight. I'm 6 feet apart here, and members of council are wearing their masks, and I understand they'll be going to the podium, which is 6 feet away, and so everybody will be able to clearly understand. Sometimes when we're wearing masks, things get muffled a bit, and so we want to make sure everybody hears what everybody has to say. So we will welcome members of the public and our people watching on YouTube. And I understand there'll be some media members watching as well. So welcome to all, and this is our last meeting before Christmas. And there may be some other committee meetings, I'm not sure, before the year ending, but it's the last meeting for the year of 2020, and we'll always remember 2020. It has been a difficult year in many ways. So we'll continue. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by Councillor Ramsey and seconded by Councillor Campbell. All in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary nay. Carried. Any conflict of interest? I do not see any speakers' lights on. So is there a motion to approve the monthly council meeting minutes of November 16, 2020 and the approval of the special council meeting on November 23, 2020? Moved by Deputy Mayor McColman and seconded by Councillor McFeely. Any questions? All in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary nay. Carried. Correspondence. I have a few things here I'm just going to mention under correspondence. I have an awful lot of emails and those kinds of things for Christmas receptions, but I'm not getting into those. But I got a nice report this weekend from the President, Claudette Thériault. If you remember, she ran the Acadian Congress report, Acadian Congress last year, and the report just came in this weekend, and she sent me a copy, and it certainly was very successful. I sent it around to members of council. There were 230 activities over that 15-day period, and over 100,000 participants. But I guess when you look at so many countries that people are in from, and generated over $7 million or $23.5 million in economic impact, and over $7 million in direct media exposure in 2019. And it was in mostly southeast New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island. And it reached more than 8 million people through social media. So it certainly was very successful. And again, we thank Claudette Thériault and all of her many volunteers, and the City of Summerside was pleased to be part of it. We one of the sponsors, and they held one of the special days was here in Summerside. So we thank them and thank them for the report. And this was another one I received here from the Parkview Senior Citizens for their Christmas tree lighting, and we did attend and that, and had some entertainment there. And this was from the Royal Canadian Legion, just to thank you for the city's assistance in the Remembrance Day ceremonies and Solutions to Employment program. I did attend that. That was held at the Royal Canadian Legion this year. And this was a letter, and I believe council are considering or discussing it. The EPTEC Centre looking for the city to pay a portion of their entrance to make it accessible, the doorway. And this one is from the Museum and Heritage for their annual meeting on December the 1st. And we were all unable to attend because of a council meeting, and I believe there may have been a city staff member attend that. So it has been really busy considering COVID and everything else, but we will continue on. And if any members of council get any correspondence they want to speak about when they're giving their report, the opportunity will be there. So we'll continue on. Financial services is the first report, and because of COVID, as you will notice, councillors will be speaking from the microphone and the podium, which will be 6 feet away from each councillor. And this time we'll turn it over to Councillor McColman, or Deputy Mayor McColman, for the Financial Services Report.
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess we're turned this way for the camera. Okay. I'd like to thank our Chief Financial Officer, Kristen Dunsford, for preparing this report. I'd like to say good evening to all of my colleagues on City Council as well as the residents of Summerside. My report tonight will begin with a reminder that grant applications to the Community Support Program for the upcoming year 2021-22 budget are due on Thursday, December the 31st, 2020 at 12 p.m. noon. To be eligible to submit an application for consideration, the group or organization or event must meet the following criteria. Be registered as a nonprofit organization and located in the City of Summerside. Must have a broad mandate servicing a wide cross-section of citizens within the City of Summerside. Must provide a service not currently provided by another body in Summerside. Purpose is to enhance social, cultural, environmental, recreational, or heritage initiatives. This application form is available on the website www.summerside.ca, and late submissions will not be considered. And I will repeat that, and late submissions will not be considered. For those who received a community support grant for 2020-21, please be advised that your final report is due on December 31st, 2020. Preparations are underway for our 2021-22 capital and operating budgets. We do expect to present this budget to our residents in early March 2021. Now, for an update on the status of our utility accounts receivable. As of December 11th, 2020, the following is being reported. Total overdue balance is $146,500 compared to $153,200 at November 10th, 2020. This overdue balance comes from 677 utility customer accounts, of which 64 are commercial accounts and 613 from residential accounts. Approximately 11.9% or $17,400 of the overdue balance is greater than 180 days old. This compares to 20% or $65,400 at the end of July 2020. Customers who have outstanding balances and have not requested a payment arrangement are strongly encouraged to contact Financial Services at phone number 902-432-1230. Our latest projection for our current fiscal year is reporting a surplus $114,600, which is mainly due to operating results of our water and sewer utility. We continue to meet with the individual departments to determine the impact the pandemic is having and may continue to have on our operations. Thank you for the opportunity to present this report, and either myself or our Chief Financial Officer are available to take your questions. And also, at this time, I would sincerely like to wish all Summerside residents, especially those in Ward 6, very Merry Christmas and all the best in the new year for 2021. So that concludes my report, Your Worship, and I do not have resolutions tonight.
Thank you. Just while you're still at the podium, any questions for the Chair of Finance, Councillor?
I do, and I'm curious, when we talked about the overdue balances, is there a way that we can maybe look in to see how we compare to other utilities, say Maritime Electric and other utilities around, in how COVID is affecting where we are currently with the unpaid amounts? Obviously, there's lots of people that are struggling during COVID, and whether or not that's a reflection of what's.
What's taken place.
Right,
on this, yeah.
exactly. So I think that'd be interesting to see how we're comparing to, say,
Sure,
Maritime Electric and
sure.
other.
No, that's a good
utilities.
question, Councillor Corey, and possibly with the time frame, maybe I can ask with our Chief Financial Officer that possibly in the January committee meeting, and then possibly that can be released to council members. Okay? Anything else?
I do not see any other speaker lights on. So
I'll do
thank
my
you.
house cleaning.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for your report and cleaning the mic off to get ready for the next person,
Okay.
next councillor. And happens to be right beside you. At this time, we will call upon Councillor Justin Duran. He has a technical services report, and the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I'll get right into it. The report for December, last one of the year. The 2020 civil roadworks construction is pretty much done for the season, but we still have a number of construction projects that will continue throughout the winter. Staff are working on the 2021 capital budget items while wrapping up the invoicing and deficiency lists from this year's projects. Staff continues to review and assist the public with pending developments and building permits. A number of new developments are progressing. The 3 multi-unit buildings are coming out of the ground off of McEwen Road. 6 semi-detached units have started on Balcom. The 11-lot subdivision off of Bernard and Acadian and the 9-lot off of McEwen Road have been paved. A number of semi-detached are in progress on Fairview, the Fairview subdivision, as well as the 70-unit building downtown. That building is close to being ready to occupy. Our office is still encouraging people to continue to send in your information electronically, as you have been doing, and if you need to see someone, please call ahead for an appointment to ensure you're able to meet with someone. We will continue reviewing all information submitted and respond back to these submissions if any additional information may be required for permits. 19 building permits with a value of $857,000 were issued for the month of November. Year to date, there have been 365 permits for a total value of $42.5 million. We issued 4 semi-detached, 1 residential renovation, and then 9 for signs, fences, and accessory buildings. Also another 5 for institutional and commercial renovations. The total number of permits to date represents nearly a 50% increase from a typical year, and the total permit value would be one of our higher years, which has led to a very busy year, even with the current COVID situation from earlier in the year. Staff have continued to work with developers and citizens in order to complete inspections on their existing projects. Several developers are still reaching out to staff for assistance with their proposed projects for 2021. Staff will continue to work with these developers to bring these developments to the permit stage. Citizens are also encouraged to ask for assistance with their projects. And that concludes the Tech Services report for December, and thank you to Director Aaron McDonald for preparing that this month. If there's any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Any questions for the Chair of Tech Services? Councillor McDougall.
I do have one, and it's not much of a question. It's, we need some clarification. It states here that the progress on the Fairview subdivision of a 70-unit building. The Fairview subdivision is the subdivision I live in, but that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about this. I come up there the other day by Putter's Lane. I believe they have a name on there of Fairview something.
Estates, I think.
Estate. Anyway, I'm just concerned when I seen the 2 of them with 911 if it's an issue, and I think that we should look into that.
I think it certainly would be, or could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can
Because,
look into it.
like, I know that my location at my subdivision out there, or our subdivision, was known as Fairview subdivision, and I don't call it that, but it's there could be some confusion there. So I just think we should do a double take on that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do know that typically, just from being on fire department calls, that 99.9% of the time when you're being dispatched, it's a civic address, so it'll be Putters or wherever. It's rarely ever, you know, come across the radio, Fairview subdivision. Like, it's not specific enough, but, you know, the more detailed we can be, the better, for sure. So, yeah, no, we'll definitely follow up on that.
Any further questions, Councillor Adams?
I just had a quick one. I'm not sure if it would be you, Councillor Duran, or not, but I had a resident inquire about the name of, in Lafergie subdivision, Hillside Drive or Hillside Avenue, because when we put out a power announcement that there was going to be, the power was going to be out, it's whatever was put down Driver Avenue, it's different than one from what 911 has. So there was he just pointed out that maybe it should be cleared up before, you know, there is an emergency and something happened. So I said I'd pass that on. So
Okay,
not sure who needs to know, but.
Thank you. If there's anything we clarified, management could look after that for you, Councillor Drawn.
Okay, perfect.
Any further questions? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'll get this all disinfected here.
Okay.
It's fresh. Right out of the
I
box.
believe Councillor McFeely's going back to the podium. For the planning board report, and you're doing the economic development report at the same time? Okay, Councillor McFeely, you got 3 or 4 or 5 resolutions? 5, I guess, if you're doing them all.
Yes, Your Worship, we have 5 resolutions, so the planning board has been busy the last few weeks, and we thank members, Councillor Ramsey and Councillor Adams and other councillors who have attended those meetings. The first resolution, Your Worship, is Resolution COS 20-113, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Adams. Whereas an application was received from Leslie and Gary Lloyd for a discretionary use for PID number 309344 to allow a tourism establishment inn at 156 Summer Street in the medium-density residential R3 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. Be it resolved that the council approve a discretionary use for a tourism establishment inn at 156 Summer Street, PID number 309344, in the medium-density residential R3 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, subject to a conditional use approval by the development officer. And this bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting on December 1st, 2020, Your Worship.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Adams. Any questions on the resolution? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay. Carried.
Second resolution, Your Worship, is COS 20-114, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Adams. Whereas an application was received from Robert Lawless for 121 Kelly Drive, PID number 562611, to allow an attached 2-car garage to be placed 1.25 meters from the rear yard property line. And whereas section 1.15.5 of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw requires a minimum setback of 2.5 meters from the dwelling to the side yard lot line. And whereas section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw allows for a variance to be granted after council has considered the following tests. Variance applications shall be considered by council, planning board, or the development officer as applicable against the following tests for justifying a variance. All applicable critical criteria must be met. A, that the hardship is due to the unique physical condition of the lot or property, including small lot size, irregular lot size, existing building location on the property, or exceptional topographical conditions, which make it impractical to develop in strict conformity with the bylaw standard. Exceptional topographical conditions may include, but are not limited to, trees, slope of the land, etc. And B, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the official plan. C, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the zone. And D, that the proposed variance would not impact negatively on adjacent properties or on the essential character of the surrounding neighborhood, including taking into consideration any comments from neighbors. Be it resolved that the council approve a side yard east side variance of 50% to allow the proposed attached garage at 121 Kelly Drive, PID number 562611, under the City Summerside zoning bylaw, and this bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting on December 1st, 2020.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Adams. Any questions on the resolution? All in favor say aye. Contrary, nay. Motion carried.
And our third resolution, Your Worship, is Resolution COS 20-115, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Adams, whereas the City of Summerside is a designated municipality under the Emergency 911 Act, and whereas as a designated municipality is responsible to name a street, public or private, where the street serves 3 or more properties. And whereas the city wishes to submit the street name Innovation, as it is fitting with the intended use of the Echo Park Summerside Business Commons, attracting businesses with new ideas, original and creative in thinking. And whereas as required by Section B, street naming policy of the City Subdivision and Site Development Bylaw, SS-19, Council shall approve or deny the recommendation or request by simple resolution based on 1, the recommendation of the Street Naming Committee, 2, the conformance of the proposed name with this policy, 3, any other considerations that Council considers relevant. Be resolved, the Council approve the following street names submitted. As per the street name policy, the suffix will be Avenue. The official street name is Innovation Avenue. This street is located off Greenwood Drive, PID number 30511, excuse me, I have no trouble with numbers tonight, 305151, and this bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting of December 1st, 2020. And just speaking to that for 1 second before you call the question, Your Worship, I know we've had several names come forward here over the last year, and councillors, having included myself, have expressed concern that we're not using the list. We tend to think maybe that all streets are coming forward, but that's not the case. The list is only a year old. There were 4 streets named off that list in the last year, and we've had a couple of exceptions that have come to council. I can't remember the number, but not very many. So I think for the most part, it appears that the list is being used. So and the nature of this particular name is more related to the economic development opportunities associated with that. So.
Okay, I do not see any speakers like John.
Councillor McDowell.
Oh, sorry.
Just one clarification. I believe, Councillor McFeely, you read the resolution number COS 20115.
Yes.
It's 2001.
That was a typo. If you follow the
so
other
we have a
resolution-
typo here?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all, yeah. The other
Okay.
ones are all running 113, 114, 115, 116.
Okay. Sorry for being so
I should have pointed
detailed.
that out, I'm sorry. That is corrected and initialed by both the mover and seconder on the original document here.
Any further questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary, nay. Carried. Just could I ask a quick question that I was going to ask it there, but I'm just wondering, and I maybe you answered it, I guess, was there any feedback from the street naming committee in regards to that?
I've heard none. I think I would hope they're pleased that the names are being used generally. Yeah.
Because there was a lot of thought put into it from council, so.
Well, there was significant thought put into the work of that street naming committee as well.
You have another resolution or two?
I've got 2 more here, Your Worship. So
Go
we'll
ahead,
keep
you're
moving.
batting 1,000 so far.
Yeah, we'll keep moving here. So resolution COS 20-116, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. Whereas an application was received from Nick Curtis at 419 Central Street, PID number 71050, and whereas Section 8.4, the City of Summerside zoning bylaw states that no residential accessory building shall exceed the maximum height of 4.5 meters, or 14.5 feet. And whereas Section 7.2 of the zoning bylaw allows for a variance to be granted after council has considered the following tests: that the hardship is due to a unique physical condition of the lot or property, including small lot size, irregular lot size, existing building location on the property, or exceptional topographical conditions which make it impractical to develop in strict conformity with the bylaw standards. Exceptional topographical conditions may include, but are not limited to, trees, slope of land, etc. B, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the official plan. C, that the proposed variance meets the general intent of the zone. D, that the proposed variance would not impact negatively on adjacent properties or on the essential character of the surrounding neighborhood, including taking into consideration any comments from neighbors. Be resolved, the council grant a variance of approximately 20% to allow the accessory building height of 5.6 meters, 18.5 feet in order to accommodate the same roof slope on the existing residence. And this bears the recommendation of a planning board meeting December 1st, 2020, Your Worship.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Ramsey. Any questions on the resolution? Councillor Snow.
I have a question. I'm sort of curious. I'm just looking through, and so on the resolution we're talking about now, 116, it's missing a paragraph that's in 114, and they're both asking for variances, and it's just in 114 it says variance application shall be considered by council, planning board, or the development officer as applicable against the following test for justifying variance. All applicable criteria must be met, but that paragraph's not in 116. So I'm just wondering, is it because it's a different type of variance, or is...
I think the type of variance, but I don't think that paragraph really impacts the intent or of the motion. I guess I would ask.
Okay.
We're good.
Because we're one saying it must be met, and then
Yeah.
I was just sort of curious as to why one has it when they're
Good
both
question.
asking for a variance.
Excellent question.
Thank you. Any further questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary nay. Motion carried unanimously.
And finally, Your Worship, from the Planning Board, resolution number 20-120, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. Whereas it is desirous to review the City of Summerside Heritage Plan, the secondary plan in Bylaw SS-20 as part of the update cycle for land use plans and bylaws. Whereas these documents will be brought up to date with current best heritage planning practices and be consistent with our official plan policies and applicable provincial legislation, including the Heritage Places Protection Act. And whereas the Planning Board at its meeting of December 21st, 2020 is recommending Council approve a task force referred to as the Summerside Heritage Plan and Bylaw Review Task Force. The mandate of the task force is to provide recommendations to Planning Board concerning heritage matters such as, but not limited to, review of heritage best practices of selected municipalities across Canada, heritage plan and bylaw administration under the PEI Heritage Places Protection Act, provide a fair and consistent heritage scoring ranking system for designation of historic properties and buildings, determine the scope of conservation/protection measures for the City of Summerside designated and non-designated heritage resources. And whereas the task force will report to the Planning Board, the task force shall dissolve when Council either adopts the documents by resolution or at any other time at Council's sole discretion. And whereas the task force will be comprised of one member of the current Planning Board, who shall be chair, the 3 citizen members of Heritage Planning Board and 1 member of Summerside Area Historical Society. The Summerside Heritage Planning and Bylaw Review Task Force will consist of the Chair of Planning Board, or his designate, Summerside Area Historical Society, one representative, President Peter Holman, or designate, Heritage Planning Board citizen members, Natalie Hashi, Carl Delaney, and Kate Cormier. The term of the task force will be from January to December 2021. That's the anticipated timeline to complete the work. And this bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting of December 21st, 2020. Your Worship.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brian McFeely and seconded by Councillor Barb Ramsey. Any questions on the resolution? I do not see any speaker lights on, so all in favor say aye. Contrary nay. Carried.
You want me just to roll into the economic development report?
Yes, if there are no questions on those, we'll have the economic development report, and Councillor Brian McFeely, the floor is still yours.
I thank you, sir, and would like to start by thanking Director Mike DeTusca for preparing the report, and we'll get right into it. A primary challenge in economic development is forming a vision from many competing priorities and activities. This vision stems from the community's values, its economic strengths and weaknesses, and consensus on a desired future. Goals are the tangible expressions of the vision, and our Economic Development Office endeavors to make them reality. In 2019, almost a year to date, our department and certainly this council resolved to enact a 4-year strategy to grow and diversify our local economy. A foundational initiative to focus our ambitions over our term as a council. At its root, the goal of this plan was to stimulate a more balanced and sustainable economic base for the benefit of both business and residents. Fundamentally, it was to attract and grow new business to Summerside, to create new tax revenues, job growth, and community building. The resolution was grow the percentage of our industrial commercial tax base from its current 18.6% to a minimum of 21% of tax revenue over the next 4 years. We believe this to be an achievable goal that will result in an increase of approximately $700,000 in additional tax revenue annually. Or broad in its stated purpose, its outcome could not be clearer. Attract and grow more quality jobs, investment, and economic activity. We have publicly and clearly stated our intended outcomes, and they are to ensure Summerside is developing, attracting, and retaining a skilled and diverse workforce that enables business attraction and retention, a new model for incubator, accelerators, and small business startup space and support, developing fiscal tools to stimulate development in business opportunities for Summerside. Through the Living Lab, we wish to support, grow, and engage clients both locally and abroad to further validate the products or services in our area, enhance and cultivate more research and development opportunities, bring to market new employment lands for industrial purposes to attract and grow non-residential enterprises, work with the private sector to bring more market-ready commercial space to market. Through immigration, continue to foster business attraction. Many of these outcomes are being realized by the Economic Development Office's 2020 activities, such as the progress with the Eco Park, our ongoing Living Lab partnerships, our discussions with external partners about incubator programming, and new entrepreneurs with the PNP program. Speaking of immigration, I would like to share some of the achievements from that file. The PNP community endorsement process that was first introduced 3 years ago when they kind of restructured the PNP program. Summerside, at that point in time, Summerside began interviewing candidates. That was in February 2018. Summerside embraced this as a way to vet already pre-screened business investors. At the time, it was discouraging to know that these folks were years away from executing their plans. But now here we are, with many having taken root in the past year. In the past 16 months, there have been 31 PNP businesses that have opened in Summerside, including one that opened just a few days ago on Friday, December 11th, and that's Venky's Gourmet Fast Foods in the County Fair Mall. These businesses have diverse offerings and include financial services, bakeries, cafes, restaurants, education, media, hobby shops, craft stores, automotive, grocery, language training, construction, and IT services. All these proprietors have moved here with their families, and mostly households of either 3 or 4. Taken together, this amounts to 101 people with an average household size of 3.25, many of which live in Summerside. Not only are we increasing our population, but we are doing it in the younger age category, which is critical to our growth. This influx of newcomers represents many countries, including China, Vietnam, Iran, India, Brazil, the UAE. This will help Summerside establish new communities and introduce new cultures to the city. This can especially be seen in the new restaurants, like the Hong Kong style, Indian, and Vietnamese. The impact of these business investors is significant. These folks are occupying commercial and industrial space totaling over 31,000 square feet. Secondly, collectively, they employ 78 people. Finally, downtown, whom our office promotes regularly, has been the main benefactor of this new investment. Out of the 31 businesses, 20 are located in the downtown core. Besides PNP folks setting up downtown, several other local businesses are doing so as well. This has caused many buildings that were traditionally underused to become full or nearly full. These includes the Sites and Bites building, the HMS building, the Concord building, Max Sutton Properties, McNeil Mall, the New Life building, Harborview Plaza, and the headquarters building. About a year ago, the Economic Development Office identified the need for about 100,000 additional square feet of commercial space based on our investors' inquiries and client pipeline. Since then, we have seen local absorption of over 31,000 square feet in just 16 months. Despite the challenges with COVID, which we have never overlooked, there are still positive signs heading into 2021. So in closing, certainly, Your Worship, I want to wish all our residents and businesses a safe and happiest of holidays, and especially want to wish all residents in Ward 7 a very Merry Christmas, and certainly, hopefully 2021 will be a better year than 2020. So, and finally, Your Worship, I do want to offer condolences to the family of Eric Johnson, who passed away last week. Many of you would know Eric, and Eric was for a long time supporter of many endeavors in Summerside, particularly the Raceway. So we certainly offer our condolences to the Johnson family at this time. So thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor McFeely, and you're right there about Mr. Johnson, quite a developer in Summerside over the years, and many years, and his family still doing development in the city. And our famous field out by the credit union place is land that was donated to the city by Eric Johnson, known as the Eric Johnson Field. So we pass on our condolences to all members of his family. Thank you, and Councillor McFeely, you're getting your
doing the house cleaning.
Getting your podium all clean for it. The next councillor going to that will be Councillor Ramsey. We'll have the police services, fire emergency planning, and whatever else. The floor is yours, Councillor Ramsey.
I don't want Councillor Ramsey in a non-sanitary situation.
No.
Thank you, Councillor McFeely. Good evening, everyone, and I would like to take this opportunity to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and all the best in 2021. I know that 2020 has been very challenging for all of us, but me personally, I need to say I had a baby granddaughter born in June of 2020, so there were some really special times for me throughout the year, as well as the challenges. So just wanted to mention Mila. So the first thing I'm going to do is my emergency measures report. And as part of its ongoing emergency preparedness efforts, the city recently hosted a session with community partners to outline what we have done over the past year. As learnings from past Tropical Storm Dorian, we were pleased to host members of the Summerside Christian Council, the Red Cross, and the Provincial Emergency Measures Organization to provide an overview of things that we have done to better prepare our community to respond to future emergencies. The engagement was quite positive, and we are working with the Provincial Emergency Measures Operation to assess our plan and further refine it if need be. That's my emergency measures report. If anyone has any questions, I'll just go forward if not.
I do not see any speaker lights on, so the floor is still yours.
Thank you. So I'm going to go into November's fire service report. There were 17 calls for assistance during the month of November, and they were as follows: 2 medical first responder calls, 4 alarm panel calls, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 3 structure fires, 3 miscellaneous calls, 1 carbon monoxide call, 2 cancel calls. And during the month of November, firefighters trained a total of 325 hours. Some of the sessions included pump operators course at the PEI Fire School, apparatus placement training, a number of online training courses, level 1 review and exam, and level 1 field work. A huge thank you to the residents of Summerside for supporting firefighters and the many volunteers that worked with us in presenting the 2020 version of our annual Santa Claus Parade, as there were over 2,000 vehicles that went through our drive-through parade. There were many new challenges, but the amount of smiling faces, we deem this to be a great success under the circumstances. So thank you everybody who came out and enjoyed the evening, and thank you to every single volunteer that helped us along the way, and also to Summerside Fire Department and Chief Enman for all their hard work in this. Engine 3 completed its 25 years of service and has been sold to a fire department in Cape Breton. We are looking for the new Engine 3 in the next couple of weeks, so that hasn't arrived yet. This is November's report. Engine 3 still hasn't arrived, so we're looking forward to that. Firefighters have been very diligent in the fight against COVID-19, but moving forward into the winter months, the following changes will be made to decrease our risk even further. Annual awards night and Christmas banquet has been canceled. Training will be limited to company practices, only 8 members per company. Monthly meetings will be done via email sent out by Chief Enman. There will be no gatherings. And association meetings will be canceled until undetermined date at this point. So that is my fire service report. If anybody has any questions? Yes, but that came in November, so that's why it's probably not on this. But I will mention that Daniel Albert was awarded Firefighter of the Year, and so we would like to congratulate Daniel on that accomplishment. He works very hard as a volunteer over at Summerside Fire Department, so congratulations, Daniel. So that's it, unless there's anything.
Any questions for the chair of the fire committee? I do not see any speaker
Move
lights on.
forward. Okay, great. So I have the Summerside Police Service Report for November. Face-to-face meetings continue to increase during November while still self-distancing and remaining vigilant with the rules surrounding pandemic protocols. Although this may change again in December, which it has, depending on the rules from CPHO, several meetings took place during November, including Mobile Crisis Team, Staff Association meetings, bridge meetings every Tuesday and Thursday to deal with people at risk, and conference calls with all law enforcement personnel on PEI. During November, Summerside Police Services staff continue to respond to concerns from public health for persons not self-isolating when ordered to do so by CPHO. During November, members took part in the use and force of taser training instructed by 2 Summerside Police Service members. Members attended a Remembrance Day service in Summerside and St. Elners. 1 member volunteered with a local church, along with 1 member volunteering with the College of Piping. Another member took online training courses through the University of Alberta, entitled Indigenous Canada. And the following is a list of some occurrences for November 2020. Calls for service were 515. Traffic accidents were 23. Reported crimes of assault and threats were 32. Theft reports were 15. Impaired driving offenses were 6. Highway Traffic Act charges were 104, including 46 speeding. Break-and-enter reports, business and residential, 8, and drug enforcement charges were 4. Any questions can be directed to Chief Poirier or Acting Deputy Chief Black here. And that is my police report. I have one additional reading on the report regarding the SRO at Three Oaks that I would like to just kind of update people on, if that's okay.
Yes, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the SRO council brief, so that's our police officer who's now stationed at Three Oaks High School, September through November. Constable Brett Montgomery began the year at Tosh as the SRO for the first 2 weeks of school. Due to staffing issues, Constable Montgomery had to be brought back to the frontline role, where Constable Gina Lisi took over as the SRO on October 5th. Since that time, Constable Lisi has been busy dealing with numerous issues brought forward by students, staff, and the student well-being team, including sexual assaults, mental health, and addiction issues. Constable Lisi has also completed presentations at other schools in the Summerside area and met and provided guidance to students on careers in law enforcement. Also to note, the Three Oaks principal, Jeff Clow, recently provided some feedback on the positive impact that Constable Lisi has had on the student body at staff at Three Oaks. In particular, the impact that she has had on some of the female student population as a positive role model. So thank you to both Constable Brett Montgomery and Constable Lisi for your work at Three Oaks High School. And that concludes my report for police services.
Thank you. You have some resolutions as well?
I do, yep. If
Any
there's no
questions for
questions.
the chair? I believe Councillor McFeely.
Just one quick one.
Oh.
I don't know if this should go to the chief, or probably. The calls for service, 515, and then when we list the different types of things there, that's about 175. So I just wonder what constitutes the other sort of 300.
Right, and so how they word it is the following is a list of some occurrence totals. So they're not giving you everything, but they're giving us a general idea. So I think if we wanted a full, accurate a number on exactly.
I don't need an accurate, I'm just kind of what kinds of things would make up the other.
Yeah, and that I think you would have to ask.
Yeah, I can, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Or I could ask that for you, Constable. Yeah, Councillor McFeely, and get back to you.
I've been called lots of things, but
I
constable
know.
is
Never
been one of them.
constable, eh? Okay, that's new. But anyway,
Thank you.
I can do that for you if you'd like to know.
Okay,
And
thank
I
you.
can send it out to all council. Okay?
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so I do have a couple of resolutions, if that's okay.
Yes, I believe there are no questions at this time, so
Okay.
continue on.
So, Resolution COS 20-118, December 21st, 2020, moved by Councillor Barb Ramsey, seconded by Councillor Kerry Adams. Whereas the City of Summerside Bylaw, CS-25 Taxi Bylaw, was presented at the monthly meeting on October 19th, 2020, for a first reading and referred to the Police Committee meeting of December 1st, 2020 for a recommendation. And whereas CS-25 Taxi Bylaw is presented at the December 21st, 2020 monthly meeting, be it resolved that the City of Summerside Bylaw, CS-25 Taxi Bylaw, be hereby declared read a second time and be formally adopted. This bears the recommendation of the Police Committee meeting held on December 1st, 2020.
Moved by Councillor Ramsey and seconded by Councillor Adams. Everybody heard the resolution, so this is effective as of now, is it? Or is there any
December
time,
21st, yeah.
any timeline to prepare anything, or?
I think it's
the
all-
taxi stands will be advised this is the new regulation? Or are the new regulations as of now? Thank you.
Is that for the whole council to vote on, Your Worship?
Go ahead, Councillor.
Is that for the whole council to vote on, or just?
Yes, it will be. Any questions on the resolution? All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary nay. Carried unanimously.
Okay.
Thank you. You have another one too?
I do. I have one more. Resolution COS 20-119, December 21st, 2020, moved by Councillor Barb Ramsey, seconded by Councillor Bruce McDougall. Be it resolved that the speed limit on Glen Drive upon entering city limits and up to South Drive be reduced from 50 kilometers per hour to 40 kilometers per hour. This bears the recommendation of the Police Committee meeting on December 1st, 2020.
Moved by Councillor Ramsey and seconded by Councillor McDougall. Any questions on the resolution?
Just one
Councillor
question.
Campbell.
I don't think that was in Councillor McDougall's department, was it, to second the motion? Anyone can, yeah, because it was Councillor McDougall that brought it up.
That's right. Yeah, that's why he was asked to second it. Yeah.
Any further questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay. Carried.
Okay. Thank you. So that concludes those reports, and I'll do a cleanup here and done.
Thank you, Councillor Ramsey, for
Thank
your
you.
all of those reports. And we're getting ready for Councillor Snow, Chair of Community Services, and he has a report and a resolution. So we will move
go.
to Councillor Snow, and floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to start by thanking J.P. DeRoger, who compiled the report. November was an exciting month for the Community Services Department, as the largely anticipated return of the Summerside Western Capitals took place with their season opener on Saturday, November 7th. Staff worked diligently with the province to prepare for the 2020-2021 MHL season, implementing various COVID-19 regulations and guidelines for home games at Credit Union Place. In the end, the Caps opened the season to a sold-out crowd, COVID-19 edition, and came out on top versus the Valley Lumberjacks 5-4 in overtime. Public Health applauded the operational plan put in place, and overall, it was a milestone and major success. It was a busy month in the Recreation and Programming Division with two themed PD days that were both very well received by the public. Peppa Pig Day and Disney Day both featured large character cutouts in the various areas of the facility, along with activities and special pricing to entice residents to get out and enjoy the facility. The November 26th Disney Day also featured a Stay the Day, which invited kids to come and stay at Credit Union Place for the day and enjoy a full day of programming. The popular preschool healthy living program, Snake
snacks and skates was also offered on Tuesdays throughout the month. Private and semi-private swimming lessons began in the month of November, both of which were sold out and came with large wait lists. The aquatics department is now preparing for winter swimming lessons and other aquatics programming in January. Summerside's first active transportation route was paved and painted and will now help connect residents with Credit Union Place in downtown Summerside from Pope Road. It also offers residents a safe and healthy alternative to commuting throughout the city. Construction in the skyboxes continue and are starting to take form. The Community Service Department looks forward to having these available in 2021. The month closed out with a major announcement from the Sports and Entertainment Tourism Summerside Sets Division that the City of Summerside and the Summerside Western Capitals will play host to the 2021 Fred Page Cup. The ongoing pandemic has certainly changed the business of event hosting, so this comes as both exciting news and goes to show the department continues to seek and bid on future events. As the situation surrounding COVID-19 continues to evolve, staff continue to work with the CPHO to adapt to these new guidelines and regulations. Masks became mandatory on November 19th, which meant all users and staff are required to wear non-medical masks in all public places such as Credit Union Place. That is the report. I also have a resolution, Your Worship. If there's no questions.
Thank you. Councillor Duran, you have a question for the chair.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. More so just a comment. I just wanted to pass along thanks to your department and all the staff there and everyone and everything that went into the Santa tour that took place there on the, was it last weekend or the weekend before? Last weekend. It was great weather, and I had nothing to do with it, but I had a lot of messages from people just because I shared the event of how much everybody loved it and how it was, that along with the actual Santa Claus parade was just a lot of good comments on it. It was done like to perfection. It was awesome.
You know, the COVID situation has caused obviously a lot of negative things to, you know, come to the forefront, but in doing so it also has caused a lot of positives to come out and sort of, you know, help us rethink how we do things and maybe redo things in the future that are positive, because that was a great event. And I remember seeing a post on Facebook of, you know, a kid thinking, you know, hearing the ho 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 around the community, because you could hear it for streets, and just being amazed. The kid was, you know, in bed getting ready for bed, but could hear Santa coming, and that's the magic of Christmas is amazing. So that's great. Thank you. I'll pass it along. If there's any other questions, I just have a resolution, and then I'll finish with a brief comment.
I do not see any other speaker lights on, so you still have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Resolution COS 20-0017, sorry. COS 20-0017. Moved by myself, Councillor Corey Snow, and seconded by Councillor Kerry Adams. Whereas the City of Summerside continues to invest in the health and wellness of residents by enhancing and creating active transportation routes, and on-street parking poses safety concerns for the users of these routes, be it resolved that no parking be pre-approved on the designated side of the street where a selective active transportation route exists, and that Bylaw CS-27 Traffic and Parking Bylaw Appendix A, no parking zones be updated accordingly.
Moved by Councillor Snow and seconded by Councillor Adams. When you say pre-approved,
So-
is that usually worded that way?
So why we're saying it's pre-approved, as we know, or as we plan, we hope to continue on the path of expanding our active transportation routes. It is determined that having no parking along these routes because of safety concerns is the way we're going to move forward with doing so. So that's why it's pre-approved. So the current active transportation route is just finalizing. So there's going to be no parking along that route. But as we move forward and expand our active transportation routes, that'll be pre-approved.
So you're not coming back every time to council, it's just
Correct.
pre-approved and it's done, and yeah. I think we should discuss that.
Director JP came, presented to council.
Yeah, we discussed that.
We went over
Yeah.
the pros, the cons, and how moving forward with no parking along active transportation.
Is that just
active
with
transportation
an
routes
extension
was-
of what we're talking about here? What about if it's on another side of the city?
That's the
It's
idea.
determined throughout, wherever as we're determining active transportation routes is where we're gonna have, family, residents, people out walking, biking, exercising.
Yeah. I understand that, and I
yeah.
appreciate that, but I'm just wondering if it has legal authority. Once you approve it for one area, do you have to approve it for the designated area? But obviously, the legal people would have looked at that.
Yeah, and I think we went through it, Director JP, and I think Chief Dave was here at the time, and we talked about, what it meant and how implementing it moving forward was gonna go, so.
Councillor Campbell?
I'm just confused. Why wouldn't the police committee approve that? Or why wouldn't it go through,
This
through
was a
that committee?
joint recommendation through police. When we went to committee, it was police and community services. Active transportation falls under community services, but I remember when we were talking about it during committee, we said it could go either way, either with police or community services, and we decided to put it through community services.
But there was collaboration.
There was collaboration
yes,
between
yeah.
all, yeah.
Anything further, Councillor Campbell?
Vote on it as council.
And I understand what you're saying, but it was a joint recommendation, and police committee and community service committee went through the recommendation, through the recommendation to bring this forward for resolution. So both police and community services agreed to put this forward.
I'm
as
on the
resolution.
police committee, and I don't remember discussing it at any.
Yeah, we did it.
It was our last monthly committee meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, did we vote on that?
We did not vote
Okay.
on it, no. We're still in the questions.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Country nay? Carried.
Just in closing, your worship, I want to congratulate the Ken Family Appeal, who, as of, I believe it was yesterday, delivered all their hampers for another year. In particular, Sue Gallant, Ray McCourt, and Eric Farish, who all co-chair it. And then, of course, all the extra volunteers. I assume, and I can say even more than assume, because I did some chatting with some volunteers that were taking part. It was probably a harder year to get through it with, COVID restrictions and certain numbers on how many people could do what and deliveries and so on. So a huge shout out to them and any of the organizations around Summerside that do similar things, because there's lots of great organizations in Summerside that are doing very similar things, trying to make people's Christmas a little brighter this time of year. So it's amazing work that happens as a son of a single mother. I really appreciate these types of things because I've lived it. So it's amazing. So a huge thank you to them. And then lastly, I just want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year for 2021.
Thank you, Councillor Snow.
I'd just like to say one thing.
I guess Councillor Deputy has a question or a comment.
And Councillor Corey, your mother has done a great job with you.
I agree 110%. More so my mother than more, not a compliment for myself, for my mother. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Okay, I believe Councillor Adams is ready to move in whenever Councillor Snow gets his work done there. Thank you, Councillor Snow, and welcome to the podium, Councillor Adams.
Hi. Thank you, Your Worship. I'll start with HR and Legal Affairs report. Thank you to Deputy CAO Gordon McFarland for this report. The Joint Occupational Health and Safety Committee, as well as department subcommittees, continue to meet on a regular monthly basis. Emergency first aid training was provided for staff. The department provided support at various meetings this month. Contract negotiations are currently underway with the police, outside workers, and electrical unions. Staff are busy with payroll year-end processes. We would like to congratulate Rick Morrison, who is retiring at the end of this month after over 35 years with the city of Summerside. And just to end off on this part of my reports, I just wanted to thank all city staff that have adapted to the new work requirements with COVID this year. Your dedication to the city is appreciated, and I hope that everyone gets some quiet time and relaxation over the holidays. That's it for that, if anybody has any questions.
Thank you for that, and as well, an employee retired from the credit union place, Sheila Laughlin. She's retiring, I think, around this time, and she had 13 years there, and great employee, and we wish her all the best as well, and thank her for her many years of dedicated service. And the same with Rick Morrison, 35 years, a long time. I can remember when we hired him. So that was a good long stretch, and we wish him all the best in his retirement and thank him for his many years. You still have the floor.
Okay, if there's nothing more, I'll go into the Culture Summerside portion. The following report captures some highlights of Culture Summerside's activity from mid-November to mid-December time period. Planning, researching, and implementing the Christmas program, called The Magic of Christmas at Wyatt Heritage Properties, occupied the programming staff through the latter part of November and early December. The public and school program focuses on the extensive history, traditions, and fashion of Christmas trees throughout the ages. The Lafergie Cultural Center is decorated with 23 trees. However, COVID-19 circuit breaker took effect just as the program was to be delivered. Over 600 school children and community members were scheduled to attend. This program has been postponed until January, and some virtual exposure is being offered. Collection work continued on organizing the cataloging of the International Fox Museum collection. It is an opportune time to carry out the work in preparation for the reopening of the Armory. The student hired through Young Canada Works will finish up her segment of the project on December 22nd. Work continues to progress well on the Armory renovation, and we are aiming at a spring completion date. And I know Councillor McDougall and myself are looking forward to a tour. Staff and volunteers continue to work on updating and building PEIancestry.com website. Grant writing to source summer student employment and project funding for 2021 has begun. The 2021 budget for Culture Summerside is being developed. That's it for the Culture Summerside portion. If anybody has any questions?
I do not see any speaker lights. The floor is still yours.
Continue. I'll go right into Bylaw Policy Review Committee, and thank you to CAO Rob for this report. Recently, the BPR committee presented proposed changes to the taxi bylaw. Members of the public and representatives of the taxi industry provided feedback on the changes and to ask any questions of council and staff. We appreciated the engagement of all those who weighed in with their feedback. Tonight we had the second and final reading of the proposed changes, and these changes will be voted on by council. They were voted on by council. The committee's work also continues on other fronts. We have reviewed the permitting process for home-based businesses and whether changes need to be made regarding the disclosure of applications. We are also reviewing the unsightly premises bylaw to determine whether changes are required to the enforcement provisions contained within the bylaw. Of note as well is that the city recently sought expressions of interest from residents who wanted to serve on this new seniors committee. This follows up on a commitment made by council earlier this year. This new framework will build upon the work that has helped make our city an age-friendly community, with a focus on ensuring that our services and programs are tailored to meet the needs of the senior demographic. We are reviewing applications and aim to announce the names of the members of the committee early in the new year. Finally, back in September, residents may recall that council issued a public statement of action in response to concerns regarding the payment of outstanding utility accounts and the public disclosure of this information. Council had directed that changes be made to the city's code of conduct, the utility collection policy, and to develop a communications protocol around the disclosure of outstanding electric accounts. This is nearing completion, and we expect to present the results of this work at the January Committee of Council meeting. This concludes the report for the month of December, and myself or the acting CAO can answer any questions you may have.
Anything further? Any questions? I do not see any question lights. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, just while it's under the BPR committee, a reminder that a notice was sent out today of the leash law that is in effect in the city. All pets must remain on a leash when using the boardwalk, Rotary Park, and all city parks. And also, you have to pick up after your animal. I know myself, my dogs, one would lick you to death, the other would bark its head off at you, but somebody seeing them might not feel the same way about their friendliness as they do, so just it can be a little bit intimidating for people that are meeting them, especially if you're in the Rotary Park or somewhere where there's not a lot of people around. So Bruce can probably attest to that, his love for dogs. And lastly, I just want to take a moment to wish all residents a very happy holiday. Like everything else in 2020, the holidays are not the same as usual. One thing 2020 has shown is the generosity and support we all have for each other. We've all had moments where COVID got the best of us. We always regrouped and carried on. I think for me the most important, and I've said it before, is the children really should be thanked for their patience and their perseverance throughout this year. They never missed a beat. They adapted to anything and everything that was thrown at them while adults grumbled and growled. The kids just carried on and did what they were supposed to do and never missed a beat. They are heroes in this whole thing, and they should be recognized for that. I also wanted to thank my residents in Ward 8 for supporting me throughout the year. You know, it's not a year where you can just drop in and see somebody whenever they call you with a concern. So, you know, a few yard visits and everything else. So it was a different way of doing things, but we got through it. And I hope everybody has a happy holiday and spend it the best you can. And 2021 will be better. That's it. I'll clean this for. If anybody has any questions, so I'll clean this.
Is that no, Councillor Snow has a question? No, I guess the light has gone out. Anything further then, Councillor Adams? If not, you tidy up and we'll go back here to, I believe, Councillor Bruce McDougall. The floor is yours, sir. She may have to adjust the podium there for you.
I'll probably have to put that, I'll just put it. There we go. You good?
Don't kick the bucket there under your feet there.
No, we'll kick the bucket. Good evening, fellow councillors, your worship. I have a report here for the municipal services. This was put together by Director Greg Goody. The sewage treatment plant performed the following maintenance this month: the Houston Street lift station, the check valve replacement, UV bulb replacement of one full bank, biosolids dryer panel replacement, and 2 sludge dewater and pumps were overhauled. The sewage treatment plant had an out of performance discharge in early December. The event is being coordinated with the Provincial Department of Environment, and staff quickly adjusted operations to suit conditions to bring the plant back to normal. Water utility staff assisted with the capital water main replacement work on Phillips Avenue. Public Works added crosswalk painting enhancements beside the Elm Street school drop-off areas. Staff has installed 2 speed bumps on Elm Street to assist the calming traffic speeds in the area of student drop-offs for the Elm Street school. Final line painting was performed for those areas that were under construction. All crosswalks flags have been reinstated for safety. Public Works added a yellow center line on Berkshire Avenue corner. Public Works finished a bit of pothole patching on Walker Avenue and Heather Moist Drive for the year as the asphalt season is over. And the following snow removal efforts were completed from November 1st to December 13th. And there was 1 road plowing event, 1 sidewalk plowing event, 3 road salting events, and 2 sidewalk salting events. Just the general operational stats, there was 32 water samples were taken with clear bacteria. 1 sample on well number 3 was retested and came back clear. 15 chlorination samples taken, all within parameters. One fire hydrant was relocated this month. It was going to be in the middle of a new driveway, so we had to move that. One water main taps were conducted for the water main upgrades. One water service connections were completed for new developments. 12 water turn-on and turn-offs for the month. One water main was repaired for this month. One sewer main was repaired on Green Street and Granville Street. Seven sewer calls this month. And sewer effluent to the harbor was 222,000 cubic meters was treated. And just about 200,000 gallons of septic received to the plant from outlying areas in Prince County. And 418 tons of biofertilizer were created this month at the sewage treatment plant. That's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Any questions for the Chair of Municipal Services? How'd you get along with your street sweeper? You get that also?
Well, the street sweeper is
It's a tongue twister.
It is gone back to the company that we purchased it from, and we're still dealing with them. So, hope to have more news on that in January.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, do you have any further comments?
I have a few comments.
Go
First
ahead.
of all, I'd like to pass condolences on to the family of the late Eric Johnson. He surely left his mark on this community, and so condolences to the family. I'd also like to take this opportunity to wish each and every one of us in the room a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. To yourself, Mayor, and our fellow councillors and families. It's the first year that we're going to be without our kids or grandkids since we moved out there 40 years ago. So COVID has certainly made things different, but you know what? If that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. And we all need to be safe. We're the envy of North America right now, so I think we just got to keep it going. Also, it's hard to believe back at New Year's Day 2020 that we were in here shaking hands and kissing babies and wishing everybody for a great year, and look what happened. But you know, there'll be some good come out of 2020, and I just want to take this opportunity to wish everybody a great 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Anything further? If not,
I don't have anything
you'll
further. How
adjust
do
the
you do this,
microphone there,
Gary?
will you, for Councillor Campbell?
Just a second, I'm going to wipe her down for you, buddy.
Councillor Campbell, you have the electrical report. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. Work test highlights. The new heat pumps for Stash Energy are now being trialed for the Heat for Less program. The newly expanded Eco-Surmer was permanently connected this month. The new biomass boiler on Laflurgy was connected. New street lights were installed on Putter Lane and downtown core demolition area. The City of Summerside Christmas lighting was installed in late October and consisted of, now here's quite a little list that this department has done to make us all feel better at Christmas time. Installation of approximately 150 decorations on street light poles. They help light the Christmas tree. I guess it's called, I call it the old Crockett's Jewelers place, but they have a name for it now. And then the assisted empowering of the Lights for Life down along Boardwalk. They have the ground decorations they lit up for the key locations around the cities. Some of them being City Hall, another at the Armories, or some out at Reed's Corner, the intersection of Heather Moyes Drive, and also on Water Street. And they also, the Summerside Sunbank land clearing request for proposals had been awarded for the clearing, and 30 acres of land beside the Linkletter well field in Summerside. The city has committed to replace those 30 acres with forested land. Memorial Park lighting had been repaired. Boardwalk had the boardwalk and street lighting have been repaired. Materials for Mackenzie Drive are in order, should be in for January the 15th. We'll then fix the lights down there. 53.3% of electricity came from wind this November. That's over the 50% mark, so that's makes us smile. Generator run hours were 9.2 hours. 14 new electric customers energized this month. 5 electrical service upgrades. 10 customer outage events for the month. And 6 Heat for Less Now appliances were sold. So our total now is at 454. That's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Any questions for the Chair of Electrical?
Just a comment, Your Worship. Where they're going to be clearing the 30 acres of forest, I think it is, the land for the Sun Bank.
Yeah.
I know there was a tender went out for that and it's been awarded. I had asked that the residents in that border that area would be along Bayview Drive and the south of South Drive be notified that the work is going to be done there. So
Yeah, we're going to finish the survey and stuff, and it's going to be a replacement of the forest where they're clearing
yeah,
to tidy up around where they.
yeah, they have to cut a lot of woods out of there. So I just wanted to make sure that the residents in that area were notified of what's going on before they see the
Certainly.
machines going in there.
The plan is to have the replanting of the trees someplace. Thank you, Councillor Campbell, for your report. Okay, it looks like we've gotten to the end of the agenda. And, oh, no, sorry. Councillor Drawn, you have a question?
Thank you. No, it was just after the report. I just wanted to, I noticed everybody got up there and I feel like such a Grinch. They poured their heart out and they wished greetings, and all I did was wipe off my microphone and sat right back down. So I just wanted to express my sincere apologies, first of all, but also just wanted to wish a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and happy whatever you happen to be celebrating, and to all the residents and everybody here around the floor and everyone in Ward 2, of course. And I panicked. Sorry, I just panicked.
I was devastated over the street sweeper.
Thank you, Councillor Drawn. Okay, just before we close, I just want to make sort of similar comments. I certainly want to wish all our viewing audience a Merry Christmas and all the best in the new year. And I want to wish Deputy Mayor McCollum and all the councillors a very Merry Christmas, and as well as all city staff members and their families. All the best as we go over Christmas and into the new year. And as well, besides the viewing audience, I wish all of our citizens all the best in 2021. And I would ask all to follow the PEI health regulations, Dr. Morrison's regulations, and wear masks and keep our 6 feet, and we will get through this. And I wish everybody good health in 2021. Deputy Mayor?
Did you want to mention anything about our decision from Union Friday this year?
Yes, I was talking to the Journal today. There's going to be a thing in the levy is cancelled, as council members know, because of the COVID situation. But maybe another year, if all goes well, we may be able to have one. But this year, it's just impossible. And so there will be a report in the paper about that to advise citizens. Anyway, we've gotten to the end of the agenda. And if there's nothing further, is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councillor Snow and seconded by Deputy Mayor McCollum. All in favour? Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. And Brian,